vehicles out here were very, graciously borrowed from people that have a different interest in something cool, but don't always have something cool to do with them. So it's who you know, because a lot of this stuff is just being loaned to the movie in order to make it. But we all have to make a living because we gotta put food on the table and sleep somewhere at night. And that's why I made the first video at Cucaloris about how asking the question of how you turn filmmaking into a career. So about this time last year, November of 2017, I knew nothing about making movies. I showed up on the set of Sub Rosa with my hair and flip-flops, and they were a little skeptical about whether I knew what was gonna happen on the movie, and I was a little skeptical because we were meeting in an abandoned church. But I quickly realized that they knew what they were doing, and Jeff Tucker in particularly, head of the camera department and producer, like, he kind of does a little bit of everything, took me under his wing and really showed me the ropes. I can credit Jeff for teaching me what an aperture is. So thanks, Jeff. And he's also become a good friend. We've done some hunting and stayed in touch since the first shoot on Sub Rosa, and when we came back together in Temple, Texas, and met at the Temple Museum of Modern Warfare to film some more scenes in Sub Rosa, he agreed to share the story of how he turned filmmaking into a career.
Okay, so when I was like, I don't know, 10, my parents bought video cameras. Back in the day when it was a big VHS thing and you hung it on your thing and it had a cable and it looked like news people. I was like, that's cool. And so my mom was into horses, so she'd say, video me. I would videotape her doing her horse thing, and then me and my brother would sneak it away from the room, and we'd go make Mr. Bill claymation characters. We'd make like 7 of them and do claymation with it. We didn't know how to do it, but we just hit record and stop, record and pause, and we'd move Mr. Bill. Then he'd get run over by something, and you know, Mr. Bill stuff. Claymation, stop action stuff. So we did that and played around with it. And I don't know, took yearbook photographs and then worked for Olan Mills as a portrait photographer, professional photographer at 20, whatever. And did that and kind of developed an eye and got the thirds and lighting figured out and stuff like that. And then convinced myself that you can't make a living in photography, and I pursued a law enforcement career. And so did that, did the cop thing, and then God led me back around to what he put me together to do. He tried to show me when I was young, but then everybody says, well, you can't make a living doing what you love. That's impossible. But why? Yeah, nobody does that. And so about 15 years ago, I picked it back up again and started videoing and doing stuff, and oh my gosh, it's been a ride.
What motivated you to pick it back up after you set it down and decided there was no hope to make a living doing it?
Dude, that's a really good question. I gotta go into a faith thing on that. God led me down this series of roads and decisions that pointed me right smack dab at an opportunity and allowed me to be able to get a semi-professional camera, a Sony V1U HDV tape, 1920 1080 format, and a set of wireless mics. And these guys that had this TV show on RFDTV said, oh man, you got that gear, you got some skills, would you go up to Cheyenne, Wyoming with us and film Cheyenne Frontier Days for a week? We can't pay you, but we'll take care of your hotels and your lodging and your feed you and stuff. Oh, and by the way, we're flying. I don't fly. So got my camera, barely know how to operate it. Everything's on auto settings again. And getting a plane, oh my gosh. But went and did that, and that was really the pinnacle thing. Drowned in the fears and stepping forward and not being afraid, just going for it. Going for it, and then by the end of that trip, they were like, we hate our current producer, would you produce our show, and we'll give you $80,000 a year to do it. Huh, what? I don't know how to edit. I just started getting the camera going. So, buy an editing program, figure out how to edit, stupid. Just do it.
The first day I met Jeff, he said, I don't do weddings.
Sorry, sir. That's for the weekend warriors. I don't do weddings, never did. Don't start doing it because you'll never be able to stop. You'll be trapped in this thing where you exist and you're working on it every day that 90% of the rest of the population is out having fun. And I don't know. I just don't. Just don't do it.
When did you make this rule?
Oh, at the very beginning. Been places, done things, from Florida to 2 trips to Hawaii to make TV all over the United States, ranches, cowboys, just some of the most beautiful places and things I've gotten to do and people to meet and travel around all over the place. And no, I think it was just, I really think it was like God wanting to show me, look what all's out there. Look what I can do. It was more like him saying, look what I can do. And you just take one step at a time, mister. You pick up that camera and you learn to edit. You just do your simple little human being things, and I'll take care of the rest. This is a big faith journey, for sure. Still is today.
So you started out shooting TV, and then now you've gone more towards the internet. Where do you see the future of video going and the potential for creators that want to get into it?
I think VOD is the deal, for sure. People want what they want in this instantaneous society, whether it's, hey, pack up my groceries and meet me at the curb, mentality. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's whatever. It's up to you. But I want it, and I want it now. So I think VOD is a deal. I mean, that's the direction I'm going. There's an old adage my dad used to use. It's business like anything else. Video is business. Never forget that. Either do it for pleasure or do it for business, but pick one or the other. They'll do this. There'll be fun times, but there's still business and there's still pleasure. But he said, if you've got an empty apple cart, you have nothing to sell. You have to fill your apple cart so you have something to sell. So I think a lot of guys buy gear and expect it to just fall into their lap. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You're gonna have to give up something. For me, I gave up the barrier of, you have to pay me or I'm not gonna do it. So my challenge would be to guys is to know your limits, but don't be afraid to go out there. Don't worry about the money, okay? God knows you need financial compensation, and you need food, and you need clothing, and you need safety, and your needs will be provided for. Focus on your craft and just jump out there and freaking do it. It will either be what you were put together to do, or it won't. Accept that. It either fits, the shoe fits, or it doesn't. But try some things. Don't make it about money in the beginning. But don't give yourself away forever either. Find balance, for sure. Focus on the people that you're pointing your lens at. Learn a little something about them. Give a crap about them. Sit down and learn about them. Before you show up to a shoot, man, I can't tell you how many times these crusty old cowboys and ranchers across the country, I love them. We got a lot of friends. But we didn't blow in there and bust out the gear and start going, tell me about your ranch. Tell me how many cows you got. There's a code of ethics. There's things you don't do. You ask a rancher how many acres he has, how many cows he has, that's like me asking you how much money you got in the bank. None of your freaking business. You don't do that. So get out, spend time with somebody, learn about them, even if it's an hour or two. Then break your gear out and work together on the project. Is that any good?
I appreciate it.
Is that any good? I probably told you some shit you didn't know, right?
Yeah. One of the universal things I've heard out of 6 interviews so far is that they worked for free at some point. And we're gonna talk to Charlie when he's done working on the Peacekeeper.
That didn't make any sense to me, but
The thing is 1/4-inch steel plate body at an angle. If you shoot it, bing!
Am I hooking to the aux battery or the main battery?
And then the sad thing is you're still making films and working extra days and still not getting paid. Are we getting paid for this?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone in Hollywood gets rich, right?
Eventually.
I don't know what you call this thing, but basically it's a field kitchen. Like, it's not every day I get to see this kind of stuff. I'm kind of excited. So this is basically like a 1-ton trailer. Single axle. A platform folds out around the edge. Tent goes up. And then this is your kitchen. And it's not just a serving station. There are 2 big griddles here that I believe run on AC. That's an AC-DC inverter. And then these are like pots. I don't know what's in this one. Another pot. And like a workspace. And this kitchen, well, judging by the size of the griddles and the pots, could feed several hundred people, and there's not a lot of workspace. I would imagine there's probably 4 guys in here and it's like McDonald's. They each got their own station. Ba, ba, ba. I think this one's in the process of being restored. We gotta get back to work. I keep screwing around every chance I get.